Good morning, Kim Branum, RN-BSN and owner of Thin Space Wellness here. Welcome back to Midlife Mayhem. This is episode 2. So in thinking through the episode number 2, what it would look like and what the topic should be, I thought it might be helpful for me to talk a little bit about my journey with wellness and weight loss and how I landed in the wellness space. So a lot of my patients, when they come in, I always ask, okay, where did your weight loss journey start? And I was shocked at how many people say, oh, when I was 8 years old, oh, when I was 9, 10. Oh my gosh. Like, it struck me. I was like, that's so young to have to be worried about your body or your weight or what other people think of you. But then when I started processing through what my journey looked like, I realized that I have a very similar story. So the very, very first time I can think of where I recognized my weight was when I was very young. My mom passed away. She was killed in a car accident. That's another story for another time. But so I would, in the summers when my dad was working, I would go stay with my grandparents, her mom and dad, for the summers. And they would go to McDonald's or Bojangles every single morning with their friends at 6 a.m. and they'd have their coffee and their sausage biscuits. And I would come home to Wilmington and have plumped up quite significantly because I did a whole lot of very non-energy expending things while I was there. Some of the best times of my life was spending with my grandparents, but I definitely would gain weight. So my dad would kind of joke with me about how I would, go to see them like this, and then I would come back like this, and then I would get skinny again, and then I would plump back up. So I was in this flux constantly. So that's the first time I remember being aware of my weight. And I can't say that it really bothered me because I continued to do it every summer. It just was like, whatever, this is what I do. But the first time I really remember being insecure about it and starting to feel self-conscious about it was when I went to summer camp, late elementary school. And they had the all-you-can-eat. You just go up and fill your plate. And I remember going up for seconds, and I may have been a little heavy. Definitely wasn't overweight, maybe a little heavy looking back and seeing pictures. I had little chubby cheeks and felt a little chubby, but I wasn't really, again, aware of it. So I remember going back to the line for seconds, and the lady that worked in the cafeteria was like, you better be careful. You're going to plump up. You keep eating like that. Oh my gosh. So I was mortified, and I remember starting to restrict from that point. I was probably third or fourth grade. I remember restricting my food intake, especially around other people, because I was so self-conscious about that comment and what the judgment I felt. So be very careful what you say to children. I'm sure the people that are watching this, you're aware of this, right? But my gosh, what we say matters so much to those little ears and little hearts. Anyway, so, I can't say that I restricted all the time. I do remember binge eating, binge drinking Coca-Cola liters. We were only allowed to have a cup of Coke a day, in our household. And I remember just when I would get it, it was I felt so restricted. I would just chug it. And, if there were chips or something, it was I had no off switch. From the time I was very young. So those little things keep creeping up. And then 2 other examples, then I'll move on to not bore you with my childhood. But when I was in high school, I think I was in the 10th grade, and I was dating a guy. Yes, there was life before Steven. Sorry, honey. I was dating a guy that was a surfer and grew up in Wilmington. He was going to teach me how to surf. So we went to the beach and we got in the water, and he told me to lay on my stomach on the surfboard, and he was standing right beside it. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And he got really frustrated with me, and I wouldn't do it. I was like, I'm not doing it. I won't learn to surf then. If I have to lay on my stomach with my backside in your face, no, I'm not doing it. Because even in high school, I had cellulite. And I was very self-conscious, never felt comfortable in my own skin. And he ended up breaking up with me. But things happen for a reason, right? So, and then I remember my senior year in high school, I was a cheerleader. I only did it that one year, but I remember going to breakfast before our cheerleading camp. And everyone there had, we were at Wendy's, I think it was, but everybody had like fried food and biscuits and things like that. And I remember taking my banana and my little bagel, and I sat there and I ate my little breakfast. And mind you, at this time in my life, I was way too skinny. Like, I've got pictures of me when I was a cheerleader and I was not healthily skinny. But I remember the way that the girls reacted. Like, everybody was like, oh my gosh, Kim, you're so like self-disciplined. Like, that's so impressive. I could never, sit here and see everybody eat these things and just eat my healthy breakfast. Like, they were so impressed that I was like in control of my diet, and I took pride in that. Like, it made me proud that I was the one that was like in control. And I think maybe because I felt so out of control in so many areas of my life. So those are moments that like stick out to me. If I were to answer that question for someone, not that you asked, but those are key moments where I remember and think back, and just can see how that started my life of restriction. So I've always lived in a restricted state. I've always been on some type of diet, whether it's for nutritional purposes, but realistically, in my brain, and being honest with you, it's always been about being thin and feeling good in my own skin, feeling confident, which I can't say that I ever have truly felt 100% comfortable until the past couple of years. So fast forward, you go through having babies, you go through this transition in your life where it's like, that's your job, right? You have babies, you raise young kids. And somewhere in that mix, I felt a little lost. And I hear that from a lot of people where it's like, okay, you get pregnant, you gain weight, you have a baby, you work really hard to get the weight off. Okay, you get pregnant again, the same, like this like cycle. And then you get to the point where you turn 40s and your role changes in life. It's like, I remember having a major, major hard time with transitioning from the childbearing years to just being a parent, caring for and seeing my parents pass, my dad, my mother-in-law, her husband. It's just like this, it gets into this sandwich generation when you're between like young kids, aging parents, and then your body's transitioning from, okay, I'm supposed to be having babies and raising a family, to what now? So at that point, I got to my 40s and I had just had a miscarriage. I think it was about a year and a half. I was like 38 and a half, maybe 39. And it was, Steven and I have 3 boys. It was our last shot. That was the last shot we were going to give it at having a girl. So I miscarried and I did not handle it very well, and ended up going on Zoloft, which definitely served a really great purpose. But Zoloft, I don't know how many of you have taken it before, but as amazing as the medication is, it really numbed the lows, but it really numbed the highs. And I was just kind of in this like complacent space where I didn't really care if I gained weight. I didn't really care if I worked out. I just felt content, just felt kind of complacent, like, I'm here, it's cool. But I feel like I kind of settled into my mom bod. And I remember not letting Steven take pictures of me. I was mortified of the way I looked. So I was like, I never wanted my picture taken. But he did snap a shot of me and Mo at Tweetsie Railroad one year. And I saw that picture and I just started crying and was so upset because I'd accepted my mom bod. I'd accepted that's where I was, but I did not like the way I looked. I hated the way I felt. I felt stuck. I felt like there was no way out. I was 45 pounds overweight, and could not stand to look at that picture. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it. I'm doing something about this. So Steven and I worked really hard, and I lost the majority of the weight, but still could not get off the last little bit, and still didn't feel quite comfortable. I felt much better. I felt strong. I felt, like I was moving in the right direction, but I still just felt not comfortable. So for Thin Space Wellness, Steven and I have been in the weight loss industry for many, many years. I've been a weight loss coach for over 15 years without prescribing medications. And Steven and I did not prescribe medications until we found the GLP-1s, the compounded versions, and we felt very comfortable. We tried them ourselves. The weight came off. And before that, I had been working out religiously every day. I was very restricted with my diet. We were doing keto, the keto diet, which is amazing, but it's a very restrictive diet. And so like everything was in control, restricted, but I still could not lose the last bit of weight that I needed to lose or wanted to lose. So we tried the GLP-1s and felt really comfortable with prescribing those to patients. So we've been doing that and have had extreme success with so many people who felt exactly like I did. Stuck. Okay, this is my mom bod. Okay, this is my 40s, 50s, 60s. Like, no, it's not. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be stuck. You can get unstuck very easily. You just need to ask for help. So anyway, that's kind of that transition of how my weight gain went from like this life of restriction to after the GLP-1s, the way the GLP-1s work. And we're actually, episode 3 is going to be focused solely on the GLP-1s and the myths, the facts, who it's for, how it works, questions, all of it. Like all of your questions about GLP-1s will be answered in the next episode. But when we did the GLP-1s, I truly believe my relationship with food has forever been changed because it's been several years now. I lost the weight. I've lost 45 pounds. But I feel like it completely changed my brain and my relationship with food to the point where I don't live from a place of restriction anymore. And I used to overeat. I used to binge eat. I used to eat out of boredom. I used to eat out of stress. And now it's like my body just recognizes that I don't need those things. But because I'm not living in a place of restriction, it's okay. Like I feel okay with having a bite of a piece of cheesecake and not feeling like I have to eat the whole thing. Does that make sense? So it's not this thing where I'm restricting my body all the time. Oh, I can't have that. I can't have that. I can't have that. And then when I have an opportunity to have it, I can't have just a little bit. It's all or nothing. So that part of me, I feel like is gone. I've not gained the weight back. I feel great. This literally is the best I've ever felt in my own skin. I feel comfortable. I feel confident. I feel like my clothes fit well. All of it just makes such a big difference. And I never knew this was possible. I never knew this was because I've always lived in a place where I was uncomfortable and I felt less than, or I felt like I wasn't as skinny as I should be, or wasn't as fit as I should be. And the truth was I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin because I had let myself get way overweight. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell. This is episode 2, and coming episodes, next one will be about GLP-1s, and then I have some really awesome guests that are going to come on to be interviewed that have been very good friends of mine who were either friends then patients or patients then friends, so that they can share their experience on the GLP-1s. Part of the reason that we started Thin Space Wellness, and let me do a little caveat on that, Thin Space Wellness is not about being thin. We've had that misconception before. We developed Thin Space Wellness when we were out visiting Estes Park, Colorado, which we now have an office there as well. So we live between North Carolina and Colorado. But in Estes Park, it's in the high mountains of the Rockies. And people have called that the thin space between heaven and earth. It's where the line blurs between heaven and earth, and you feel like you can just feel God's presence. So that's why we named Thin Space Wellness, Thin Space Wellness. And when I had my Invisalign on last year, it was really interesting to try to pronounce that because it wouldn't come out quite right, but I can say it good now. But anyway, the motivation behind Thin Space Wellness is, for me, was to help people in general. We do have male patients, but specifically women. So many of the women I know have a similar story to me and have been in places I've seen them stuck. I've helped them through being stuck, and they're now on the other side of being stuck. And that makes my heart so happy. Like, I absolutely love what I do. We work on, it's not just about being skinny, it's about longevity, right? And feeling comfortable in your skin and feeling present for yourself and your family. And it makes such a huge difference. So in doing what we're doing, the motivation is to help other women like me. Selfishly, it's like I wish I'd had someone to just drop down and do this for me and teach me these things. And it took many years, probably longer than it should have, for me to get to a place where I feel like this. But I'm very grateful. And I'm very grateful for my many patients that have trusted me to help with their wellness journeys, because it is so important and so possible. And I don't think that people realize that. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Episode 3, again, will be on GLP-1s. Please follow on our YouTube channel, and you can check this out anytime on Spotify, any of the Apple podcasts, all those things. If you know of someone that could use hearing this podcast, please share it with them. Stephen and I, this is really important for us to get the word out about helping people to feel better and to feel the best that they can feel, and to live long, healthy lives. So we love sharing information. I love educating, but please share if you know of anybody that could benefit from this. And we will see you next week. Have a good one.